Israeli forces continue their attacks on civilians in Gaza as part of what the Zionist regime calls the third phase of their military operation against the Palestinian area. Our correspondent in Palestine, Huda Hegazi, with the details.
En el día de ayer, el ejército de la ocupación comenzó.
The occupying Israeli forces started Thursday the launch of a military ground operation in the northern part of Al-Nusrat refugee camp in downtown Gaza Strip. There, Israeli airstrikes hit mainly the high-rise northward buildings and all the houses. Thus, today at around 8 a.m. local time in the Gaza Strip, media outlets reported the withdrawal of the Israeli military from the northern part of that refugee camp, and they further announced the repositioning of the occupying forces in the border areas. Subsequently, after such retreat of the Israeli forces, Gazans decided to return to their homes, to their houses located in the northern part of the aforesaid refugee camp. But by the time of their arrival, they found huge destruction, byproduct of the Israeli forces' attacks. By the time they got home, they not only found devastated buildings and houses, but they also saw shattered infrastructure alongside several localities fully razed by recent Israeli shellings. Therefore, right afterwards, the Civil Defense Corps, in conjunction with medical teams, set off the process of recovering victims spread in those devastated localities, where the Israeli occupying forces had mounted their raids. In this regard, the Palestinian Ministry of Health has updated the figure of victims removed in those areas, which up to this time already exceeded 19 deaths. But this number is not a final figure, since there are still victims remaining under the debris trapped under the rubble, and there are even victims that are fully dismembered due to the severity of the bombings, and therefore the toll of casualties and corpses could increase. Now, moving to the northern Gaza Strip, and according to the latest briefings which have been issued by the Hebrew newspaper Yiddish Astronaut, has assured that this military operation being launched by the Israeli occupying forces in the northern Gaza Strip is one of the longest operations since the Israeli forces began their third phase of this war. That is to say, the Israeli forces in the third phase started to mount operations for days or weeks, counting up time spent on them. However, the Jabalia refugee camp Israeli operation has been conducted for 50 days. That is to say, we are talking about to be taking 2 months, and this ongoing operation is approaching to enter the third month. Hence, such operation could be considered the longest Israeli operation in this third phase of the war. Indeed, the newspaper Yiddish Astronaut advanced that there are still several weeks left for the Israeli forces to work on that area. Therefore, we could say that the operation will be lasting for a long time. That is to say, a long way to go until the Israeli forces left that area, that part of the coastal enclave. Furthermore, on Friday, there have been even reports of attacks on several civilian homes in the area of Jabalia refugee camp, namely in the downtown, in the Al-Mashru area, in the Beit Lahia area, and in the vicinity of Kamal Adwan Hospital. As we can see, these strikes in such area have not ceased. In this context, the Palestinian Ministry of Health sent a communique granting that even Israeli attacks around the Kamal Adwan Hospital have continued indiscriminately. And today, one of the leading nurses has been reportedly killed. We are referring to the head of the emergency section who was injured from the shellings on that hospital. So today, due to medical negligence and the lack of medicines, the outstanding nurse has lost his life. In all, we have managed to show the harsh situations hospitals have been going through in the northern Gaza Strip. Finally, the Palestinian Ministry of Health further sent a communique to ensure and condemn the attacks conducted by the Israeli forces, especially on ambulance cars. The ministry further repudiated the fact that Israel is preventing Civil Defense Corps medical teams from going to the sites of the bombardments, rounding in when these teams are trying to go to these places to transfer victims or wounded. The Israeli forces hit them directly. Consequently, these aggressions have been condemned, and the ministry further sent a direct message to the international community and to the World Health Organization, underscoring that these attacks must be stopped. especially those against medical teams.
De que se deben de parar estos ataques, sobre todo hacia los equipos médicos y hacia